Arshya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadam Dadanti Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapatakamalам Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Sakrajadam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Satvairam Swavadudam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Raghunath Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpati Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanjana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kirpa Sindhubhayevacha Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare Rama
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Shashi. Thank you very much for the wonderful Manglacharan. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Danvat Pranam. Please accept our humble obeisances on behalf of everybody who have joined this group and are about to join, and then later on we'll see it on YouTube. Prabhuji, we are reading the Srimad Bhagavatam. We are on Canto 1. We are on chapter 6, and the text for today is text 5 to 10, Prabhuji.
Yes, Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, we hand over to you. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for joining and listening, and those that are hearing after the Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Okay, so yes, so in Canto 1, chapter 6, entitled Conversation between Narada and Vyasadeva, and we're going to go through text 5 to 10, which is a little section of the Bhagavatam when Narada Muni is describing what happened to his mother and what he did afterwards when he was in a previous birth. So what we are going to look at is the sixth, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, the 6 texts. So what we'd like to do is I'll read 5 to 9, and then Sashwin, if you're still there, are you still there? Yes. Okay. So you can, Sashwin, what you can do when it's the right time, you can read the Sanskrit for text number 10. Okay. So I'll do 5 to 9 very quickly. I'll just briefly go through 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And then when we get to text 10, Sashwin, you can read the Sanskrit. Is that okay, Sashwin?
Okay, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Okay. So I'll just read 5 to 9 very quickly. So I'll just read the translation and purport to 5. Then 6, 7, 8, 9 has no purport. So I'll just read the translations, and then I'll hand over to Sashwin. Is that okay? Is everyone okay with that? Okay. So chapter 6, Canto 5, translation. Sri Narada said, "The great sages who had imparted scientific knowledge of transcendence to me departed for other places, and I had to pass my life in this way." Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Jai. In his previous life, when Naradaji was impregnated with spiritual knowledge by the grace of the great sages, there was a tangible change in his life, although he was only a boy of 5 years. That is an important symptom visible after initiation by the bona fide spiritual master. Actual association of devotees brings about a quick change in life for spiritual realization. How it so acted upon the previous life of Sri Narada Muni is described by and by in this chapter. So the translation again for text 5. Sri Narada said, "The great sages who had imparted scientific knowledge of transcendence to me departed for other places, and I had to pass my life in this way." Text 6. I was the only son of my mother, who was not only a simple woman, but a maidservant as well. Since I was her only offspring, she had no other alternative for protection with the affection. Text 7. She wanted to look after my maintenance properly, but because she was not independent, she was not able to do anything for me. The world is under the full control of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, everyone is like a wooden doll in the hands of a puppet master. Text 8. When I was a mere child of 5 years, I lived in a Brahmana school. I was dependent on my mother's affection and had no experience of different lands. Text 9. Once upon a time, my poor mother, when going out one night to milk a cow, was bitten on the leg by a serpent, influenced by supreme time. Purport to text number 9 by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. That is the way of dragging a sincere soul nearer to God. Poor boy was being looked after only by his affectionate mother, and yet the mother was taken from the world by the supreme will in order to put him completely at the mercy of the Lord. And now we'll go to text number 10. So Sashwin, I'll ask you to please read the Sanskrit for text number 10.
Okay, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Tada tad ahamisya bhaktanam sam abhipsata anugraham manyamanaha pratistam disamuttaram. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Sashwin. So translation for text number 10. I took this as the special mercy of the Lord, who always desires benediction for his devotees. And so thinking, I started for the north. Purport to text number 10. Confidential devotees of the Lord see in every step a benedictory direction of the Lord. What is considered to be an odd or difficult moment in the mundane sense is accepted as special mercy of the Lord. Mundane prosperity is a kind of material fever, and by the grace of the Lord, the temperature of this material fever is gradually diminished, and spiritual health is obtained step by step. Mundane people misunderstand. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvani Pachayane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desh Tarine. So here we are, dear devotees, we are reading from Canto number 1 and chapter number 6. And we are looking at this section, text 5 to 10, where Narada Muni is speaking about the departure of his mother. And how Narada Muni describes the departure of his mother, we can hear read in text 9, where Narada Muni doesn't blame anyone, doesn't think, oh my God, I was just a young boy, this happened to my mom, what, look, this is so unfair. He said, my poor mother, when going out one night, was bitten on the leg by a serpent, influenced by supreme time. So Narada Muni understood that this world is governed by supreme time. We are all being influenced, controlled by time. Everything is under the jurisdiction in this material world of time. And we know this because after this class, it will be 9 o'clock for many of you in Kenya, and it will be time to go to bed. That's the time. You can't control that. That's the time. And then a few hours later, the sun will rise and it will be time to wake up. And it will be time to chant your rounds. It will be time to worship the deities. And it will be time to get on with your day in whatever we do with our day, whether it's full-time temple service, whether we are looking after children, whether we are going to work, whether we are running a temple, whatever we do with our day, the time was there for that. And then there's time in the evening for, again, some contemplation, some introspection, some reading, and naturally we are governed in this way. Yes, Mataji, we will take over the internet, take over the show. If your internet runs out, don't worry. So thank you for the message. Yeah, so we are controlled by time. Mataji right now is controlled by Wi-Fi. So you know, we don't have much control, even though we are trying to be the controllers. We don't have control. Narada Muni is describing the passing of his mother. He was dependent on his mother, but then at the will of the Lord, which he described in text 7, everyone is like a wooden doll in the hands of a puppet master. We are not in control of so much. We have not got so much importance in this material world, and we are not in control of anything. So when Narada Muni is speaking in this way, he's helping us understand how we should accept the reversals in the material world and how we should expect the reversals in the material world. Accept them and expect them. It's designed in that way. We were discussing this last week. It's designed in such a way that we expect something to happen. So rather than feeling shocked, just expect something's going to happen, and then we can accept it better. And Narada Muni, he accepted what happened to his mother, and it didn't shock him. Why? Because he understood everything is influenced by supreme time. Now, just because something doesn't shock us, just because we expect it, it doesn't mean we won't be hurt. Arjuna, he understood Arjuna understood the Bhagavad Gita. And because Arjuna understood the Bhagavad Gita, he understood that we are a soul, we're not the body. He understood that everything belongs to Krishna. Krishna is Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo. He is in charge of everything. He understood the Bhagavad Gita, and he understood the depth of the Bhagavad Gita, which was bhakti. So he got it. He got it. And then the war started. And then what happened? He lost his son. He lost Abhimanyu. Did he cry? Yes. Did he expect that there'll be reversals in his life? Yes, he knew. Could he accept that this has happened? Yes, he accepted it. But he was still crying. He was still upset. So it doesn't mean becoming a devotee doesn't mean becoming hard-hearted. In fact, it's the opposite. Becoming a devotee means being soft-hearted. It's just that becoming a devotee means it's complemented in two ways. One is being soft-hearted. The other is being thick-skinned. So we are soft-hearted and we are thick-skinned. Now, generally what happens, we notice with devotees especially, is that some devotees, and we all have our conditioning, some devotees are soft-hearted, very soft-hearted. But then what happens is they're soft-hearted and they're not very thick-skinned. So what happens is that it's very easy for that devotee to be very sensitive, to be very compassionate, to be very loving. They can do all the things which is required to help others. But then when something difficult comes to them, because they're so soft-hearted, that's not the reason. But what happens is their overall softness means, and if they haven't worked on their spiritual life, then what happens is they're thin-skinned, and therefore they cannot accept difficult situations in their own life. They cannot accept what happens to them. They cannot accept the difficulties. They cannot accept people criticizing them. So that's one thing. Then the other end of the spectrum is there are devotees who are very thick-skinned. They can take it. Someone says something to them, but then what complements that is a hard heart. And the problem with a hard heart is that we're not compassionate, we're not empathic, we're not able to be sensitive to others in their times of difficulty. We just expect everyone to be able to deal with life's problems the way we can deal with life's problems. Both of these is a dangerous situation for a bhakta or a bhaktin. It's a very dangerous situation because spiritual life means being able to have a soft heart and a thick skin, being able to have both. And the great devotees have a very soft heart and very thick skin. And we saw this with Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada, he came to the West and with compassion, with love, with a soft heart, he was giving Krishna to everyone despite all the inconveniences. Srila Prabhupada, when he first came to the West and when he set up 26 Second Avenue, one devotee was describing how there were so many dishes on so many people had left their dishes in the sink, and Prabhupada is ready to wash the dishes all the time. But then disciples started to help him. The devotees started to help him. At the beginning, he was doing programs. He would be cooking. He would clean up after everyone, all on his own, all by himself, with a very soft heart. He did this out of compassion, out of love for the devotees, out of love for Lord Chaitanya, out of love for his spiritual master. At the same time, when Krishna consciousness started to spread and many devotees, many people from India were criticizing Srila Prabhupada. Many of them were criticizing him. How can you let women go on the altar? How can you give a Brahmin initiation to the Westerners, to the Malechas, they would say to him. And in this way, he got a lot of criticism. But Srila Prabhupada didn't take that too seriously. So how can we have a soft heart and thick skin? We can have a soft heart and thick skinned if we are spiritually fixed. We need to become spiritually fixed. And one symptom of being spiritually fixed is my heart getting softer? Am I becoming more thick-skinned? These are these are like litmus tests for us, little tests. Am I becoming soft-hearted, and am I becoming thick-skinned? And we need to understand that both are happening at the same time, because sometimes we might be becoming more soft-hearted because we're becoming weaker. So we need to make sure that complementing our soft heart is thicker skin. Similarly, we might be getting thicker skin, becoming more cold and stone. So we need to make sure that along with our thick skin, am I able to give compassion? Am I able to be empathic to others? So this is how we can progress in our spiritual life. And Narada Muni here is describing this. He was thick-skinned and soft-hearted. He is thick-skinned and soft-hearted. He's giving us a window into what it means to accepting reversals. Accepting reversals in spiritual life is part of life. Is part of life. We're accustomed to chant, dance, and be happy, which is true. We should chant, dance, and be happy. We should always chant, dance, and be happy. In fact, yesterday I was speaking with His Holiness Chandramauli Maharaj, and I was describing something, some service I was doing, and he was saying to me that whatever service we do, don't think of it as small. Understand that service is service. And then we were also discussing how sometimes we have this, like in the West, hey, how are you? And generally what we say is we say fine, and we move on. But is it true? And it's in every language. In Gujarati, kem cho? Ha, majama. Or in Swahili, habari gani? Ha, mazuri. But do we mean it? Is everything mazuri? Is everything majama? Is everything is everything fine? No, it probably isn't. It probably isn't. But what he was saying is that for a devotee, we're always fine. For a devotee, we're always fine. And this is true because a devotee always has Krishna. And because a devotee always has Krishna, he's thick-skinned, he's able to accept that the reversals in life are going to come. A toothache, a headache, a relationship break, a financial problem, whatever it is, these things are going to come. But at the same time, we can carry on with our spiritual life. We can carry on with our service. We can understand that the show must go on. Arjuna, he understood Abhimanyu has left. He understood that Abhimanyu was killed in a very barbaric way. And yes, he wanted to seek revenge, which was his emotion to the event. But did Arjun just lose hope? Did Arjun just crumble? No. He listened to Krishna and he carried on fighting throughout the rest of the war. So we are understanding through our Krishna consciousness that we want to develop a really soft heart. A really soft heart. A really soft heart means that here we can see that Narada Muni's mother in text 9, she was bitten by a serpent. She was bitten by a serpent. Now, when we see or hear of others going through difficulties, are we thinking, oh, that's their karma? Sometimes we think like this, oh, it must be their karma. Especially when we're new to Krishna consciousness, especially when we're immature in our spiritual life, we become so idealistic. We become so idealistic that the suffering of others, we just put it in a bracket, their karma. and we don't think, actually, what can I do to help this person? What can I do to support this person? So when we see the difficulties that others are going through, rather than labeling it as their karma, we should focus on our dharma. So focus on our dharma rather than the other person's karma. What is it that we can do? What is it that we can do to support them? What is it that we can do to give them friendship? What is it that we can do to show our love? We might think, oh, but I don't have love for that person. But the thing is, Krishna has love for them. Natural love for that person, even intelligently, we can understand. Even if it doesn't come from love, it can come from the mode of goodness, which is, we understand intelligently, Krishna loves them. And what is it, how is it that Krishna like it's unstable? Can you hear me? Is it okay? You can't hear me?
Just
Prabhuji,
2 seconds
hear
before
you.
now we can hear you, Prabhu.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I just,
It was my internet.
okay, I got a message on my side saying internet is unstable. Okay, thank you, Arigwin Prabhu. I can't remember what I was saying. Yes, we want to be an ambassador of Krishna's love. So we want to be an ambassador of Krishna's love. So if someone is going through a difficult time, let's not focus on their karma, let's focus on our dharma. If we're not transcendentally situated, or if we're not feeling love for that person who's going through difficulty, we understand through the mode of goodness that Krishna loves them. And if Krishna loves them, how can I be an ambassador of Krishna's love? How can Krishna use me as an instrument? Here in text 7, Narada Muni is describing that everyone is like a wooden doll in the hands of a puppet master. So if we are a wooden doll in the hands of a puppet master, how can Krishna use me? How can Krishna use me so that I can be of service? How can Krishna use me so that I can show them the love that he wants them to experience? The love that Krishna wants them to experience. Krishna wants the devotees to experience his love, and we can be the instruments of that love. We can be the ambassadors of that love. And we perform that service. And how is it meant to be performed? That service is meant to be performed with unalloyed devotion, uninterrupted devotion. We're meant to do this without wanting anything in return. So we serve the devotees, we serve the Vaishnavas, we serve the Supreme Lord, but it's not that we're serving because we want to gain a position. It's not that we're serving so that we are known as the helpful one. We're not serving so that our name is called out during the class or during the Mangal Arati or whenever. We're serving because we just want to be this wooden doll in the hands of the Supreme Master, the puppet master. We just want to be that we want to be the instrument of the Lord's plans. Everything we are doing in the grand scheme of things, like we discussed last week, is so insignificant anyway in the grand scheme of things, so insignificant. So why not use our life as a contribution? Why not use our life as a means to please the Lord so that he looks at us favorably? That's all we want. And then how did Narada Muni take this? He said, I took this in text 10. I took this as the special mercy of the Lord, who always desires benediction for his devotees. So he understood that this is Krishna's special mercy. He lost his mother. The person at a young age, when he was a young boy, he lost the only person who was taking care of him. But he took this as special mercy. We discussed this also in a previous session, that we really want Krishna's mercy, but we don't want Krishna's special mercy. So when we're praying to Krishna, we're saying, oh Krishna, give me your mercy, but don't give me your special mercy. I want the light sugar-coated mercy. I want the mercy where I got the extra samosa. I want the mercy when everyone clap for me. I want the mercy where I can say, oh Prabhuji, Krishna just arranged for me. When someone sees my new house, I want to be the person that says, oh yes, this is all the Lord's doing. When I show them my new wife, and then I get children, and oh yes, this is Bhagwan ki kripa hai. This is the Lord's mercy. You know, we're so easy for us to say, yes, this is the Lord, and we're so happy to accept that mercy. But when we go through something like what Narada Muni is going through, when we're not going through, actually he's not going through it because he's actually transcendent to it, but when that situation comes across him, he saw this as special mercy, and he didn't just say it, he felt it. He didn't just say it, he felt it. So how will we be able to feel this? We will be able to feel this if we are deeply connected with our spiritual life. We will be able to feel this if we are deeply connected with our practice consciousness. If our practice of Krishna consciousness is not strong, if it's not deep-rooted with affection for the Lord, if it's not deep-rooted with a real desire to overcome our anarthas, if our affection for the Lord is not deep enough to accept that some devotees are going to let us down, but that doesn't mean that Krishna's let us down. If we can just accept all of this and carry on and just keep carrying on with our service, with our chanting, with our hearing, with our glorification of the Lord, with our love for the Lord, if we can just carry on, then when these difficult situations come, we will actually feel it as the special mercy. We'll feel this is the mercy of the Lord. We won't feel that we need to complain. We won't feel like we'll need to blame someone. Narada Muni didn't go and complain to anyone. He didn't go and blame anyone. No, he could have. He could have said, why did these people who my mom was working for, why did they send her to get milk at night? Why couldn't they wait till the daytime? She couldn't see anything at night. Now this serpent has bitten her. Now look what happened. I don't have a family. No. He took it as the special mercy of the Lord. But then when we see that the Lord is giving someone else special mercy, this kind of special mercy, we shouldn't be so hard-hearted and say that's their karma. This is the intricacy of Krishna consciousness. We are sensitive to others, but we're not sensitive when things come to us. We're sensitive to others, but we're not sensitive when things come to us. We are thick-skinned when things come to us. We're not thick-skinned to deliver to others. This is the intricacy of Krishna consciousness. This is the intricacy of practicing spiritual life. You can't do this in the corporate world. Why? Because in the corporate world, the goal is money. Money is the honey. In Krishna consciousness and spiritual life, we can do this because the goal is to become better people, to have the qualities of a pure devotee so that Krishna accepts us back in the spiritual world. We can't go to the spiritual world until we become purified. So it's not that if we leave our body right now, we can't go back to Krishna unless we're cleansed in our heart. We go as we are, as it said. We go as we need to become loving now. It's not like we'll leave our body and we'll go back to Krishna and suddenly we'll be selfless, we'll be tolerant, we'll be humble, we'll be patient. No, we need to develop all of this here. So what will happen is the situations in the material world will come to us to teach us how we can develop all these wonderful qualities. How we can develop qualities like humility and tolerance and patience and forgiveness and kindness and ultimately acceptance of others, acceptance of the situations in our life. And the more we can do this, the more we'll be able to practice Krishna consciousness with a smile on our face. We can see a happy devotee. We can see the devotees that are happy, not because they're always smiling. Some Prabhupada, some pictures, he's very grave. But you can see that Prabhupada, he's very, very content. Why? Because he's always with Krishna. Everything he's doing is for Krishna. Everything he's doing is to satisfy the Lord. Ravana, he had everything. He had golden palaces, but he was miserable. Why was he miserable? Because he was full of lust. He was full of lust. So when he got Sita, when he kidnapped Sita and took her, he was so lusty that he couldn't be satisfied that he had a wife like Mandodari. Such a good wife. Such a good wife, Mandodari. But he couldn't, and she was everything that he could have wanted to help him. But he couldn't accept her. Why? Because he wanted to enjoy the beauty of Sita. He wanted to enjoy the property of the Lord. And this is why we are here. We wanted to enjoy the attention that the Lord was getting in the spiritual world. And we left. For whatever reason, we left the spiritual world and we came here. And here we're just enjoying the Lord's property. Everything belongs to the Lord. Why? Because everything comes from him. If everything comes from him, that means everything belongs to him. And if we're enjoying it for ourselves, then that's what's making us miserable. If Krishna is giving us facility and we're abusing that facility, that's why we're miserable. If Krishna has given us a family, but we're not treating them lovingly, then that's why we're miserable. So ultimately, we have everything we need through what Srila Prabhupada's teachings, through the practice that Srila Prabhupada's given us to reach perfection in one life. And reaching perfection in one life means accepting reversals and accepting our faults, accepting our wrongdoing, everything that we may have done, or we are doing that is not good for us, it's not good for others. And then we can make that progress. We can make that progress that we are dying to make. The reason we're not advancing is because we're trying to advance. It's strange. The reason we're not advancing is because we're trying to advance for the sake of advancing. We will advance in spiritual life when we don't see it as a competition to advance. We will advance in spiritual life when we just develop a desire to serve. I just want to serve and I want to use my life in service, and that's all I want. And when we develop that attitude and live that attitude, that's when we'll actually make real advancement. And Narada Muni then sets off. His mother's bitten by a snake. She's left her body, sets off. He sets off for his travels. He does, and as you'll see, tomorrow onwards, he'll travel, he'll meditate, and he sees the Lord. He gets to see the Lord. And this is what we want to do. The difficulties will come, but we want to keep going. We want to keep meditating, and we're going to see the Lord. So this is the same for us. So I'll leave it there. And Kamal Prabhu, me and Kamal Prabhu swapped today. So I can see why there's a big crowd today, because you're probably expecting Kamal Prabhu. So he's my good friend. He'll be back tomorrow. So please do tune in tomorrow. Kamal Prabhu, me and him swapped for this week. But he'll be here tomorrow to take you through the next few texts in chapter number 6 of the first canto. So thank you all very much for your kind attention. It's been really so good to be with you, and it's nice, Pata Prem Prabhu, Mansi Ganga Mataji, and all the devotees, you're all here. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for this wonderful class. You are able to hear me, Prabhuji? Because it says my internet is unstable, but I'll continue talking.
Yeah, everything's good. It's all good.
The crowd is for you, Prabhuji, because everybody knew that it is you who's coming on the Zoom class today. So that's why the popularity. Are there any other questions or comments? Maybe I can start with a question. And Prabhuji, I think we might have discussed this before, but it's good to remind ourselves. So how do we balance the corporate world and spiritual world? Because you cannot change. You cannot change. Okay, now I'm going to work. I'm wearing this jacket. I have to cut throat and I have to be a wolf. But now I've come home, I've taken my corporate coat off, and now I'm supposed to be service. So this is going to be a real big conflict for a lot of devotees who are, a lot of aspiring devotees to start off with.
Yeah, thank you for your question, Mataji. So your question is, how do I balance corporate life with spiritual life? I go to work and I'm trying to be the best. And then in spiritual life, we're not trying to be the best. We just want to serve. Yeah, it's a difficult balance. And this is why it's important that the job we do is in line with our nature. So we should really take some time to understand our nature, who we are, and what we're meant to be doing with our life. Even when it comes to our job, Prabhupada said that actually 50% of his work wasn't done because Varnashram wasn't in place. And a big thing about Varnashram, and there's lots, devotees are now talking about it more, but the one thing about Varnashram is acting according to your Varna. What is your propensity? And is your propensity to teach? Is your propensity to administrate and manage? Is your propensity to work in business? Is your propensity to work for others and assisting others? And once you know once we understand who we are and what is our propensity, then the balance is a lot easier, because then we're doing what's in line with who we are. And when we are doing something that's in line with who we are, we don't feel out of place in the work environment. It just feels very natural. So if by nature we're a Vaishya, where we are in business, then we'll act in business when we're at work. And then when we're practicing our spiritual life, we will try and earn Lakshmi for Krishna. When we're doing service for Krishna, we'll try and earn Lakshmi for Krishna. If our general propensity is to teach, then we'll teach at work, and we'll teach when we're doing our service. It's just in line. Everything will be in line. So it's important if we are in line with our nature. And then if we're in line with our nature, there's less dissatisfaction, or should we say there's more satisfaction. And because there's satisfaction, we're not really so keen to step on other people's toes or cut throat, or all this terminology used in the corporate world. The big problem with the material world is people doing these cutthroat jobs are only doing them because they like the result of their work. And the result of their work is the lots of money that they get. So if you do a job that's not in line with your nature, then what will happen is you're so dissatisfied with your work that you think illusory thought is that, okay, I just need to get more money to make up for the fact that I hate my job. So then to get more money, you have to cut throat. To make more money, you have to step on other people's toes. To make more money, you need to act in non-devotional ways, should we say. And all of this is because we're not acting according to what's in line with who we are. We're more acting because we want, in the mode of passion, we want the result of our endeavor. We're chasing the money rather than chasing inner peace. And we can be very peaceful when we are working according to our own nature. So there's many, many things we could say on this, but this is the direction I took with your question. I don't know if it answered your question, Mataji. And I could say more on it if you wish, or we can stop there on that one. Was it okay?
Yes, Prabhuji, but if my propensity is to cheat and cut throat, and if that makes me happy, then how do I become Krishna conscious? I mean, I will cheat even in my spiritual activities, and I will cut throat, and I say, okay, this, even in the spiritual activities, because that's my propensity to cheat and to cut throat and to step on other people's toes.
So that is more our, that, yeah.
Giving a little bit of Lakshmi, sorry. Just giving a little bit of Lakshmi should not justify my actions.
Yeah. So I think one thing is, when it comes to propensity, everyone, all of us have the, these 4 defects that we commit mistakes, we've got imperfect senses, we can cheat others, and we're under illusion. So we've got these defects, this is true. But I don't think it's very possible, where we said that I don't think it's possible to be happy and to be a cheat at the same time. I think those 2 things are very difficult to actually balance. A cheat is not really happy. That's why they keep cheating. They're not happy cheating, and they need to stop cheating to actually become happy. Inside will not allow us to feel happy. What happens is we cheat others, and then what we do is we cheat others more and more and more, just to kind of, and this is why so many people intoxicate themselves, to forget what they're doing in the day. It's like, let's cheat, then have a few drinks, take some drugs, forget it all, and start again the next day, because it's too much for the inner voice telling us that what we're doing is wrong. And it does tell us that what we're doing is wrong. So I don't think cheating others and cutting throat, and these are all conditionings, but I don't think that we can be happy in that state. And I think it's for us to introspect and understand the reason we're not happy is because we are cheating, and because we are behaving in such a way. And we're only going to become happy when we actually change. You see, ultimately, even if you're working for even when we're working for someone, if we're working, whether we like it or not, I think it says I'm unstable again. Is it stable now? Can you hear me?
It's stable now.
Hare Krishna, yeah. Okay, yeah. You can hear me now? It's okay? Yeah, okay. Sorry, I'm actually out of town. I'm working in another town. So yeah, I'm in a hotel. The Wi-Fi doesn't seem so good here. Anyway, so we are when we're cheating others, we're not actually happy. That's the thing. We're not actually feeling satisfaction. And if we really want to experience, then we need to do things the right way. So I was just going to say that if we're working for someone else, if we're a salaried employee, we're working for someone else, that 99%, that means our job is like a Shudra. Now, we may not naturally be a Shudra, we may naturally be something else. a Brahmana, Vaishya, or Kshatriya. But if we're acting as a Shudra in work, that means you have to be happy in assisting your boss, right? Because then you have a boss. There's someone you're accountable to. And a Shudra by nature is just satisfied in satisfying their superior. So the way, if you are working for a company, if you're working for another person or you're working for a company, the way to feel satisfied is understanding that because I'm taking on the role of a Shudra, and if the Shudra is satisfaction is just the pleasure of their superior, that's the best it's going to get. That's the best it's going to get in that role. But what happens a lot of the time, because we're not naturally a Shudra, because naturally we might be something else, then we want to do more than just pleasing our superior. And that's when it becomes distorted, because we're not acting in line with our nature. But we'll be happier. Sometimes we just need to understand we'll be happier with less money, but we're just acting according. That's the, and this is the thing that devotees, that it'll be good for devotees to understand, because if devotees work according to their nature, then when they get home, they don't need to unwind from their hard day at work so much. They can go straight in and do their service because their day didn't drain them. Their day was in line with who they were, who they are. But when our day is spent against our nature, we just need to like do something to sleep it off, unwind, go for a run, do something just to recover from the hard day we had. So there are just some more thoughts, Mataji.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. There's a question from Arya Govind Prabhuji and then Sandhya Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Yes. Thanks for the wonderful class, Prabhu. I was thinking about you're talking about soft-hearted, being soft-hearted and thick-skinned. So, like if we see a beggar, like we tend to become, in the sense like we want to help them, we want to do something for them, because we don't want to think that it's their karma and he's being a beggar because of his karma. But we want to genuinely help them. Like how do we? Because sometimes it's not practically possible to help them spiritually. So because they're street people. So how do you think that we can do something for them?
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. It's a very nice question. How can we, when we see a beggar, how can we help it? Yeah, so I think Prabhupada gave the perfect formula. He set up prasadam distribution for this very purpose. So we're helping them materially because they're getting to eat, but we're helping them spiritually because we're giving them something that's been offered to the Lord. And that way, even if someone's not ready to hear the philosophy and read the philosophy, if someone's not ready to dance and chant, that may be not, they may not be ready. That may not be where they're spiritually evolved to appreciate Krishna. But if we give them prasadam, whether they know it or not, it's going to act. It's going to act on them. So I think the best thing in that situation is prasadam. And we can be creative and innovative. If you see a beggar and you want to do something, there's no prasadam around, just go to the market, buy some fruits. You can offer it to the Lord and give them some fruits. And even that will help them spiritually. So there's just some thoughts, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Sandhya Mataji, kindly unmute and ask your question.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Prabhuji, I just want to ask about being thick-skinned. Is that I kind of struggled the concept of being thick-skinned. Is it something that people have to develop, or is this how the actual nature is? Because I know you said when things can go wrong as compared to when it happened to Narad Muni. I don't think if there was a death in my family, I would be anything like him. I would be shattered. And I think I'm not going to recover for few years. So even if I've understood the concept of soul and that we all are, you know, soul and not the body, and we have to go back. But I suppose it is Lord Krishna who's made this attachment for some reason. And I'm struggling with this concept, Prabhuji. It's really clashing with my understanding. If you could please, and I have also understood that we should be thick-skinned where we are concerned, but soft-hearted where others are concerned, and not just say, oh, it's the karma, let them suffer, let them be, you know, etc. But please just explain me a little bit more, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Sandhya Mataji. So, yeah, to discuss more about thick-skinned, what it means to be thick-skinned is don't take the illusion too seriously. Don't take the material world too seriously. And if someone says something to us, if someone does something to us, we shouldn't override it. We shouldn't overplay it in our mind. Now, being thick-skinned is a journey. What hopefully we're noticing is that we're getting stronger and stronger. So what is being thick-skinned and soft-hearted? Lord Ram is a very good example. When Lord Ram left Ayodhya to go to the forest, he was very soft-hearted. He says to Mother KK, why did you go to my father? Why did you go to my father Dashrath? You should have just come to me and you wouldn't have even had to use your 2 boons. I would have gone to the forest. I'm your son. You should have just asked me. So that's soft-hearted. He's telling his mother, KK, that I'm your son. And he's at the same time, he's so thick-skinned, he's leaving the kingdom, he's leaving his father, he's leaving his mother, and he's about to go to the forest for 14 years. So we can go on this journey of becoming soft-hearted and thick-skinned. It complements each other. One, yes, we practice our spiritual life. The other thing is we can do some practical things that will help us. And one thing that will really help us become more thick-skinned, really help us, Sandhya Mataji, is have strong devotee association. Have strong, I say strong devotee association. It doesn't just mean someone who's been in the movement for many years. It doesn't just mean someone who's got a position in ISKCON. It means someone who you know loves me so much, cares about me so much. And there might just be 1 or 2 devotees out there who actually we feel, and there will be if we explore it. We have to go, we have to become we have devotees like this for everyone. He does for all of us, and find the devotees. And when we have strong devotee association, when the tribulations come to us, then we have those devotees to reveal our mind to. And when we reveal our mind to these devotees, they will guide us and they will empower us. So one is give us guidance. Secondly, they'll empower us by Krishna through them to us. They're like the what do they call it? The via medium. It's like the lens. They take Krishna's Shakti and they give it to us. But Krishna, he wants his devotees to get the credit. So he sometimes doesn't do it directly. Sometimes it has to come through the devotees. So we have to find the devotees who are going to be that via medium of passing that Shakti to us. So what we do, and this way, if we find strong devotee association, devotees who are very fixed in their sadhana, devotees who you can see are practicing Krishna consciousness seriously, devotees who are not gossiping, devotees who are not talking ill of others, you can find these devotees. And when we find these devotees, and we take their guidance, we will be empowered and we'll be able to do it. We'll be able to become thick-skinned, we'll be able to become soft-hearted. And that will stop us also needing to gossip about the people that have done bad to us, to everyone, because we have strong devotee connection. So it's up to us to find that. It's up to us to find that. We go on a journey. There'll be devotees that might let us down on the way, not their fault, because they're also on their journey, and we don't judge those who are not quite there, but we have to keep looking. And if we pray to Krishna, if we pray to him, and we do two things, we pray and we endeavor. If we pray to him and we keep endeavoring, he will send, and it can come magically from nowhere. And when he sends, then we can serve that person and take their guidance, and we'll see that actually the world looks different when we have good association. So a lot of the time we are struggling because we don't have strong association. So it might just be that we need to change our association to just take that next step in our spiritual life. I hope that makes sense, Mataji. Yeah, okay. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Okay. Who's yeah, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji, kindly unmute and ask your question, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank
Hare
you for.
Krishna.
I just had a comment, maybe, or just a reflection on what you've been saying. On the story of the beggar on the street, sometimes we can't even rush to the supermarket or you're somewhere. Could just chanting the Maha Mantra for him work? Just say to Krishna that, look, I can't give him anything, but I'm chanting this Maha Mantra just for him.
100%. 100%. Definitely. Definitely.
And then two, on the thick skin area, what I've realized helps is when Lord Krishna has taught us in the Bhagavad Gita, where he says, in distress or happiness, you have to try and be in equilibrium. When you do that, nothing really moves you, good things or bad things, I think. Hare Krishna.
Brilliant. Thank you, Prabhu. Yes, that's the stage we all want to achieve. So, yes, thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for your kind comments. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Krishna, Vishaka Mataji has a question or a comment. Kindly unmute and ask your
Hare
question.
Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
It's just a very nice lecture. Thank you so much. So many realizations. One of the things, the way I don't know whether I've understood it correct. Sometimes we get too much engrossed in like doing lots of rounds, lots of devotional service means deity worship and rounds and whatnot, surrounded by the Lord. But then from what you said, sometimes we don't see outside that this is what now we have to share. Like as how I understand is my progress of devotion will be further, will increase if I spread around the society, around people, around devotees. Is that what? Is that how I understand it?
Yeah, definitely, Mataji. Yeah, we should share what we know. If we just hold on to it, we're like misers. It's described, we're like misers. So for our spiritual life to become realized, we should share it. Definitely, we'll really experience a lot of mercy if we share what we have. So yeah, it's we have to get the balance right. We need to have some time for our inner space where we're reflecting, we're introspecting. We need some space for our chanting. We need some space for our reading. We need some space for our hearing. We need some space to gain association. But there must be a space to give association, our association to others. There must be a space where we're trying to help the outreach of Krishna consciousness. Now, I know, Mataji, you have programs at your house where you invite devotees, and devotees are coming together to chant and hear about the Lord. So this is wonderful. So if you carry on, that's really great outreach, because you're facilitating others becoming nourished in spiritual life. But yes, that should also be a big part of our life, how we're giving Krishna to others. And at the same time, we should another big part of our life is developing that relationship with Krishna ourselves. So we can, because we can only give what we have. We can only give what we have. So yes, develop that relationship, but then share Krishna with others. That's how we can balance everything. If we want that balance, that spiritual balance, absorbing Krishna, give Krishna to others. Absorb more and give more. And then we'll see that instead of
Hare Krishna, sorry, one. Oh, sorry, Prabhu, continue. Yeah.
Carry on.
Yeah, so one more thing, like giving, sometimes it may not be Krishna conscious. Just be, should we just be very kind? It may not be Krishna conscious, as Prabhu said. Not everybody is in that sort of plane. Yeah, so sometimes it's just being kind, giving love. Just try to, if possible, Krishna conscious. If indirectly, as you said, give prasad. Otherwise, just be very nice, be some or helpful to people.
Yeah,
Would
definitely.
that help?
Of course, yeah. Mataji, you see what happens generally is that when you're being kind and loving and caring, they're seeing something that they're not seeing anyway. So they'll ultimately, you can leave that to Krishna and you can leave it to them. They'll put 2 and 2 together and think, oh, look at that person. They're a devotee. Look how nice they are. I want to be like them. So we don't have to always say, chant Hare Krishna. We have to be very clever, intelligent, how we present Krishna consciousness. And sometimes presenting Krishna consciousness is just by being an ambassador of goodwill. And by being an ambassador of goodwill, that person will appreciate you. And when they appreciate you, because you're a devotee, they are gaining mercy, because Krishna sees that they're appreciating my devotee. Let me give them some mercy. It's agyata sukriti. Without knowing, they're gaining some sukriti. So this is very it's very important, because we can't just fake it. We need to be genuine. And so if we're genuinely wanting to help someone, it's not that, like today, one of my cousins called me and he was telling me how he bought a house and this and that. He was telling me all this. And I didn't once say to him, oh, you should make sure you chant or this. But I spoke to him for 10 minutes in the morning before work started. I was just on the way to work. And I spoke with him. And at the end of the conversation, I may not have mentioned Krishna once. At the end, I just said Haribol. But if he appreciates me and he'll appreciate Krishna consciousness more, then he will get that fire to become a devotee himself one day. That was what I was thinking. So yes, naturally, we don't have to be so fanatical. We just have to give what we've got, which is the love of Krishna, and then intelligently give it to others, which may not have to be in a direct way, but always in a way, in a mood of love and compassion.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. I'm sorry we have extended our time and we have passed 8 minutes. I really apologize for that. But your classes are too interesting. So I'll hand over. I'll pass over to Path Prabhuji quickly. Path Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. Kindly end the session, please.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Such a nice and wonderful class. Also very nice answers of the questions. So there is nothing to be said about Prabhuji's class. So I'm telling it's a very nice, wonderful class. I request all the devotees, please unmute yourself and chant Hare Krishna mantra for a glorification of His Kanchanajba Prabhuji. Please join.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Hare Rama,
Rama
Rama
Rama,
Hare Hare.
Sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo
Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Kanchanajba Prabhu ki
Jai.
ISKCON Eldoret ki jai.
Hare Krishna.
Jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare
See you
Krishna.
next week.
See you next week. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji.